What's up, y'all? This is Lou here at Real Boxing in Las Vegas, Nevada. So, today I wanted to cover the subject of losing. I had a discussion with my 9-year-old son who wants to box. Everybody probably seen him on this channel. His name is Sal. He's got his own channel. Check out Sally Sports, SALLI' Sports. Um, I don't want my son to be unprepared for adversity. But at the same time, I don't want to be such a harsh instructor to him that I lose value as a father, um, which is a really fine line. I mean, most people who know me in person will tell you I didn't even want to train my son. Like, he kind of insisted on it. I had him with two other coaches, and he's a lot like me. He's very anti-authoritarian in nature. He doesn't want anyone lording over him. He wants to figure everything out for himself, and I was like that a lot as a kid. But he's also had much more of a charmed life than myself. He's not facing a lot of the same disadvantages I did coming up. And you'll hear a lot of former athletes say that they feel like this disqualifies their child or any child from boxing. And to me, I think that's a bunch of nonsense. Um, First of all, what kind of parents are we who, if we say we don't want our children facing the struggles we did, and then we build them a life where they don't have to, and then when they want to do something that they consider is great that we did or that they see other people doing, we immediately tell them that they can't, they're not capable of it. uh, Everyone's capable of boxing. Not everyone's capable of being the greatest boxer in the world, but you can box. You can learn how to box. You can compete. You can learn the techniques. You can learn the craft. It's a craft, a form of art, right? Anyone can learn it. Anyone can apply it. Anyone can compete and measure themselves and see how good they are or how good they can be. Suggesting otherwise is irresponsible as people who want to continue the existence of this sport. There's no reason to do that. So, but the biggest thing that I feel exists in this sport is that losing is really visceral. I mean, this is true of MMA, of wrestling as well, because you're essentially being subdued by the will of another person. In team sports, you have like a more of a buffer um, of you can kind of blame another person, or it might be the direct fault of another person. However, in the ring, it's just you, and you're essentially to blame. Although there's a trend of blaming coaches, and sometimes it is the coaches, but at the end of the day, what I told my son is, "Hey, you're gonna lose," and he kind of like looked at me like, "Why are you saying this to me?" And I said, "Because it's gonna happen, and when it happens, I want you prepared to handle it, because you're not invincible. You're not perfect. And because you're not invincible or you're not perfect, you're going to lose a fight. Or you may lose just systemically, favoritism. They might favor the other kid more than you. So you might put in what most people feel is a winning effort, and the other kid still gets the decision. So you're going to feel at that moment like something was taken from you. How are you going to respond?" And I told him, you have a few different choices. You can quit. You can keep going. You can keep going and blame the system. Or you can keep going and attempt to learn the system and play the system. You can try to change the system. There's a lot of different avenues for this. There's steps I'm taking to try to at least improve the system, if not change it entirely. You can go back to the gym and fix everything you feel like you did wrong. That gave anyone any kind of leeway to say, well, here's why I don't think he won. He didn't do this, this, and this. You can go fix those things. But the bottom line lesson here for all of you who are athletes and who are fighters is this sport is often defined by how you take an L, how you handle it, how you handle just bad things going wrong in the first place. I mean, I tell all my students all the time, like, the closer you get to the thing you want, the harder life is going to seem to be. A lot of unexpected stuff is going to come your way right when you're at your peak. That's normal. Like, it happens all the time. It happens so commonly that I'll often have multiple students going through it at the exact same time, and they're not even aware because they don't. One thing I try to do with my students is have them communicate to each other so they see that they're not alone. They don't feel like they're islands unto themselves. But what do you do from there? Like, and do you have someone in your corner who is giving you constructive guidance rather than just criticizing you? Are they offering solutions to your problems? Are they having you talk to people who have been through similar problems and found other solutions? Like, do you have resources around you? I'm very big on that. That's what I try to create in the environment of my team, is I try to make them feel like they have, at the very least, if nothing else, they have someone to talk to. But at the very best, they have a definitive way out of it. If I see a kid whose parents are having a housing problem, we know some real estate people, maybe we can get them in touch with them. We try to present them with tentative solutions to these problems. I've done this myself, like, I've been in bad positions and have to reach out for help. And that's something that growing up, I was not, I never had the impression that anyone would do that. No one's going to help me. If I can't get that thing for myself, then I'm just not going to have it. As I got older, I had to learn that surviving is good, and that's a survival mentality, but survival and progress are not the same thing. So as a fighter, you have to say to yourself, when you're faced with this adversity, be it a bad sparring session where you get beat up, or a fight that you lose, or a fight where you are robbed in, how are you going to handle that? What are you going to do about it? And do you have people around you who legit have your back? Those are very important questions to ask and perspectives to have, and be prepared. Mentally prepare yourself. Instead of coming down on yourself for losing a fight, make a list of things that you did that you like and things that you did that you need to improve. Get feedback from other people, especially people you trust. Not necessarily strangers, they might not know what they're looking at, but get the feedback of people you trust. If you have a network around you of people you trust to give you that kind of feedback, or your teammates. Now, I'm not talking about having people gas your head up. That's a completely different thing. I had a team, the previous version of my competition team, they would very often kind of lie to each other and not be realistic about things that needed improvement. My team now are much more honest because I've drilled that into them. Like, communicate honestly. Like, think about what you're going to say before you say it. So that's what I wanted this video to cover, is just taking an L and moving forward. Like, a lot, there's rappers out there who say stuff like, I don't lose, I learn. L is for learning, not for loss. That's fine and dandy, but you have to have mechanisms in place to make that happen, to make that realistic. But you need to prepare yourself. Yes, in modern times in combat sports, a lot of people like to be undefeated, like to perceive that they're perfect and that they're not doing anything wrong. But the reality is, you're not. You're probably going to lose, and your future in this sport is going to determine how you handle that. All right? Take care.